Thank you, and returning back to Treasure Island. The night passed, and the next day, after dinner, Redruth and I were afoot again, and on the road. I said good-bye to Mother, and the cove where I had lived since I was born, and the dear old Admiral Benbow, since he was repainted. No longer quite so dear. One of my last thoughts was of the captain, who had so often strolled along the beach with his cocked hat, his sabre-cut cheek, and his old brass telescope. Next moment we had turned a corner, and my home was out of sight. The mail picked us up about dusk at the Royal George on the Heath. I was wedged in between Redruth and a stout old gentleman, and in spite of the swift motion and the cold night air, I must have dozed a great deal from the very first, and then slept like a log uphill and down dale, through stage after stage, for when I was awakened at last, it was by a punch in the ribs, and I opened my eyes to find that we were still standing still before a large building in a city street, and that day had already broken a long time. "Where are we?" I asked. "Bristol," said Tom. "Get down." Mr. Trelawney had taken up his residence at an inn far down the docks to superintend the work upon the schooner. Thither we had not to walk, and our way, to my great delight, lay along the quays, and besides the great multitude of ships of all sizes and rigs and nations. In one, sailors were singing at their work. In another, there were men aloft, high over my head, hanging to threads that seemed no thicker than a spider's. Though I had lived by the shore all my life, I had seemed never to have been near the sea till then. The smell of tar and salt was something new. I saw the most wonderful figureheads, that all had been far over the ocean. I saw, besides, many old sailors with rings in their ears and whiskers curled in ringlets, and tarry pigtails, and their swaggering clumsy sea-walk. And if I had seen as many kings or archbishops, I could not have been more delighted. And I was going to see myself, to sea in a schooner, with a piping boatswain and a pigtail singing seaman, to sea, bound for an unknown island, and to seek for buried treasure. While I was still in this delightful dream, we came suddenly in front of a large inn, and met Squire Trelawney, all dressed out like a sea officer, in stout blue cloth, coming out of the door with a smile on his face, and a capital imitation of a sailor's walk. "Here you are," he cried, "and the doctor came last night from London. Bravo! The ship's company complete." "Oh, sir," cried I, "when do we sail?" "Sail," says he, "we sail tomorrow." Chapter 8. At the Sign of the Spy-Glass. When I had done breakfasting, the squire gave me a note addressed to John Silver, at the Sign of the Spy-Glass, and told me I should easily find the place by following the line of the docks, and keeping a bright lookout for a little tavern with a large brass telescope for sign. I set off overjoyed at this opportunity to see more of the ships and seamen, and pick up my way among a great crowd of people and carts and bales, for the dock was now at its busiest, until I found the tavern in question. It was a bright enough little place of entertainment. The sign was newly painted, the windows had neat red curtains, the floor was cleanly sanded. There was a street on each side, and an open door on both, which made the large, low room pretty clear to see in spite of clouds of tobacco smoke. The customers were mostly seafaring men, and they talked so loudly that I hung at the door, almost afraid to enter. As I was waiting, a man came out of a side room, and at a glance I was sure he must be Long John. His left leg was cut off close by the hip, and on the left shoulder he carried a crutch, which he managed with a wonderful dexterity, hopping about upon it like a bird. He was a very tall and strong, with a face as big as a ham, plain and pale, but intelligent and smiling. Indeed, he seemed in the most cheerful spirits, whistling as he moved about among the tables, with a merry word or a slap on the shoulder for the more favored of his guest. Now, to tell you the truth, from the very first mention of Long John in Squire Trelawney's letter, I had taken a fear in my mind that he might prove to be the very one-legged sailor whom I had watched for so long at the old Benbow. But one look at the man before me was enough. I had seen the captain and Black Dog, and the blind man, Pew, and I thought I knew what a buccaneer was like, a very different creature, according to me, from this clean and pleasant-tempered landlord. I plucked up courage at once, crossed the threshold, and walked right up to the man where he stood, propped on his crutch, talking to a customer. "Mr. Silver, sir?" I asked, holding out the note. "Yes, my lad," said he. "Such is my name, to be sure. And who may you be?" And then, as he saw the squire's letter, he seemed to give something almost like a start. "Oh," said he, quite loud, and offering his hand. "I see. You are our new cabin boy. Please, I am to see you." And he took my hand in his large, firm grasp. Just then, one of the customers at the far side rose suddenly and made for the door. It was closed by him, and he was out in the street in a moment. But his hurry had attracted my notice, and I recognized him at a glance. It was the tallow-faced man, wanting 2 fingers, who had come first to the Admiral Benbow. "Oh!" I cried. "Stop him! It's Black Dog!" "I don't care 2 coppers who he is," cried Silver, "but he hasn't paid his score. Harry, run and catch him." One of the others, who was nearest the door, leaped up and started in pursuit. "If he were Admiral Hawke, he shall pay his score," cried Silver, and then, relinquishing my hand, "Who did you say he was?" he asked. "Black what?" "Dog, sir," said I. Has Mr. Trelawney not told you of the buccaneers?" "He was one of them." "So!" cried Silver. "In my house! Ben, run and help Harry. One of those swabs, was he? Was that you drinking with him, Morgan? Step up here." The man, whom he called Morgan, an old gray-haired, mahogany-faced sailor, came forward pretty sheepishly, rolling his quid. "Now, Morgan," said Long John very sternly, "you never clapped your eyes on that Black Dog before, did you now?" "Not I, sir," said Morgan with a salute. "You didn't know his name, did you?" "No, sir." "By the powers, Tom Morgan, it's as good for you," exclaimed the landlord. "If you had been mixed up with the like of that, you would never have put another foot in my house. You may lay to that. And what was he saying to you?" "I don't rightly know, sir," answered Morgan. "Do you call that a head on your shoulders, or a blessed dead eye?" cried Long John. "Don't rightly know, don't you? Perhaps you don't happen to rightly know who you was speaking to, perhaps. Come now, what was he jawing? Vages, captains, ships? Pipe up, what was it?" "We was a-talking of keel-hauling," answered Morgan. "Keel-hauling, was you? And a mighty suitable thing, too, and you may lay to that. Get back to your place for a lubber, Tom." And then, as Morgan rolled back to his seat, Silver added to me in a confidential whisper that was very flattering, as I thought, "He's quite an honest man, Tom Morgan, on ye stupid. And now," he ran on again aloud, "let's see, Black Dog? No, I don't know the name, not I. Yet I kind of think yes, I've seen the swab. He used to come here with a blind beggar. He used." "That he did, you may be sure," said I. "I knew that blind man too. His name was Pew." So I'm going to leave it off there. Thank you for listening. I hope you're continuing to subscribe and viewing my videos. Leave comments down there, and I'll continue with the next one. Bye.